Welcome. Step into a world where even the smallest coin can carry the weight of history, mystery, and hidden value beyond imagination. Imagine holding a simple 1-cent coin in your hand. Something most people ignore, something often lost between couch cushions or tossed aside without a second thought. But what if I told you that this tiny piece of metal, this humble Liberty 1-cent coin, is not just currency? It is a silent witness to decades of stories, power, and possibility. This is not just a coin. This is a symbol. A symbol of a nation's identity, of resilience, of dreams stamped into metal. The word liberty engraved upon it is not decoration. It is a declaration. Every line, every curve, every detail whispers the legacy of those who came before. Now look closer, closer than ever before. That worn surface, it has traveled through countless hands. It has witnessed transactions, moments, decisions, some small, some life-changing. It may have been part of a child's first savings, or a collector's lifelong obsession. The story begins with a coin so ordinary that most people wouldn't even bother to pick it up from the ground. A humble 1988 1-cent piece, bearing the calm and familiar face of Abraham Lincoln. At first glance, it feels like nothing more than pocket change, a forgotten whisper of metal in a noisy world of currencies. But beneath that quiet surface lies a possibility that has fascinated collectors for decades, the idea that something so small could carry a value far beyond imagination. Now, let's be clear right away. Most 1988 pennies are not worth millions, and the idea of becoming a billionaire overnight from a common coin is more myth than reality. But within that truth lives a far more interesting reality. Certain rare variations, minting quirks, and nearly invisible details can transform a simple coin into a collector's treasure. In 1988, pennies were struck mainly from copper-plated zinc, a shift that had already happened earlier in the decade. Yet within this production, tiny anomalies began to emerge. These weren't obvious errors you could see from across the room. They were subtle, almost secretive details, hiding in plain sight, waiting for a sharp eye to discover them. One of the most talked about variations is the 1988 penny with a reverse design mismatch, where the back design belongs to a slightly different year's style. This kind of minting anomaly creates a ripple of excitement in the coin collecting world, because it represents a moment where precision slipped and history left a fingerprint. Imagine holding such a coin without realizing its uniqueness. It sits among hundreds of others, identical at a glance, yet entirely different in reality. That contrast, the invisible difference between common and rare, is what makes these coins so captivating. Collectors don't just look at coins, they study them like detectives. They examine the spacing of letters, the sharpness of edges, the tiniest curves in the design. A 1988 penny with an unusual feature becomes more than currency. It becomes evidence of a rare moment inside a minting facility. Condition plays another powerful role. A flawless, uncirculated 1988 penny, one that looks as though it just left the mint, can be far more valuable than a worn one. The shine, the crispness, the untouched surface, these qualities elevate its status dramatically in the eyes of collectors. But the real drama unfolds when rarity and condition collide. A rare variation in pristine condition creates a surge of demand, and demand is what fuels value. That's when a coin that once bought nothing suddenly becomes worth hundreds, even thousands. Still, the leap from thousands to millions is not something that happens easily or often. That kind of value is reserved for coins with extraordinary historical significance or extremely rare errors, far beyond the average 1988 penny. Yet the myth persists, and there's a reason for it. Stories of rare coins selling for shocking prices ignite imagination. They make people look twice at their change. They turn ordinary moments into treasure hunts. And that's where the real power of the 1988 penny lies, not necessarily in guaranteed wealth, but in possibility. It invites curiosity. It rewards attention. It transforms something overlooked into something worth examining. If you were to search through a pile of old coins today, your heart might beat a little faster with each 1988 penny you find. You'd turn it over, inspect its details, and wonder, could this be the one? That feeling, that spark of discovery, is what drives collectors across the world. It's not just about money, it's about the thrill of uncovering something rare, something meaningful, something hidden in plain sight. Even professional collectors admit that the joy of the hunt often outweighs the reward. Because when you finally find something unusual, it feels like you've uncovered a secret that the world overlooked. The 1988 penny, in this sense, becomes a symbol. It represents the idea that value isn't always obvious. Sometimes, it's buried beneath layers of familiarity, waiting for someone patient enough to notice. There's also a deeper lesson here. In a world obsessed with big numbers and instant riches, the quiet story of a small coin reminds us that real value often comes from knowledge, attention, and persistence. So if you ever come across a 1988 1-cent coin, don't dismiss it too quickly. Hold it. Study it. Let curiosity guide you. Because even if it doesn't make you a millionaire, it might lead you into a fascinating world you never expected. And who knows, somewhere out there, a rare variation might still be circulating, unnoticed, waiting for the right person to recognize its significance. That's the magic of coins like these. They blur the line between the ordinary and the extraordinary, turning everyday objects into stories of mystery and discovery. In the end, the true worth of a 1988 penny isn't just measured in money. It's measured in the excitement it creates, the questions it sparks, and the possibility it holds in the palm of your hand. And that possibility is what keeps the hunt alive. The story begins with a coin so ordinary that millions once passed from hand to hand without a second glance, a simple 1972 Lincoln 1-cent coin. Yet hidden beneath its humble copper surface lies a mystery that has ignited the imagination of collectors for decades, a whisper that somewhere among these coins, a rare error exists that could transform a life in a single heartbeat. Picture this, a worn-out coin resting silently in an old drawer, its edges softened by time, its face slightly faded. To most, it is nothing more than loose change. But to a trained eye, to someone who understands the secrets of minting errors, this coin could be a silent fortune waiting to awaken. The 1972 1-cent coin was struck in enormous numbers, making it common at first glance. However, rarity is never about how many were made, it is about how many were made wrong. And in that year, something extraordinary happened inside the minting process that created one of the most talked about era coins in history. There exists a famous variety known as the double die obverse. This is not a minor flaw, it is a dramatic, almost ghost-like duplication of the design on the front of the coin. Letters appear doubled, numbers look as if they are echoing themselves, and the entire face carries an eerie sense of duplication that instantly sets it apart from ordinary coins. When such a coin is discovered, it does not whisper its value, it screams it. The doubling is so bold that even a beginner can sometimes spot it, yet many still overlook it, spending these rare treasures without ever realizing what slipped through their fingers. Now here is where the dream intensifies. While a normal 1972 penny holds almost no extraordinary value, a genuine, strong double die version in pristine condition can reach astonishing prices in the collector's world. Not millions, not overnight billionaire status, but still powerful enough to change someone's financial reality in a very real way. There is a myth that these coins are silver, glowing like hidden treasure. That part is pure illusion. The 1972 cent is made primarily of copper, not silver. Its true value does not come from metal, it comes from imperfection. In the world of coin collecting, perfection is common, but mistakes are priceless. Imagine holding such a coin under light, tilting it slowly, watching the doubled letters in Liberty, or the date, 1972, flicker into clarity. That moment, the realization that this is no ordinary coin, is the moment collectors live for. It is like uncovering a secret that has been hiding in plain sight for half a century. But here is the truth that grounds the dream. Not every 1972 coin is valuable. In fact, the overwhelming majority are worth only their face value. The difference between a life-changing coin and an ordinary one lies in tiny details that demand patience, knowledge, and a careful eye. There are also weaker doubled versions, less dramatic, less valuable, yet still intriguing. These variations form a spectrum, where only the strongest and clearest examples rise to the top of the collector market and command serious attention. Condition plays a role as powerful as rarity. A sharply preserved coin, untouched by heavy circulation, can multiply its value dramatically. Scratches, wear, and fading can pull even a rare error back down into modest territory. The idea of becoming a billionaire overnight from a single penny is a captivating fantasy, but reality paints a different picture. Even the finest examples of the 1972 double die cent, while valuable, exist within the realm of thousands or tens of thousands, not unimaginable millions. And yet, the emotional power of the hunt remains unmatched. Because every coin you check carries a spark of possibility. Every glance at a date, every inspection of a letter, feels like opening a door that might lead to something extraordinary. Collectors around the world have built entire journeys around coins like this. They search through rolls, jars, and forgotten collections, driven not just by money, but by the thrill of discovery, the chance to find something rare where no one else thought to look. There is also a deeper beauty to this coin. It represents a moment in time, a snapshot of history captured in metal. The year 1972, frozen forever, carrying within it both ordinary production and extraordinary error. What makes this coin truly powerful is not just its potential value, but the story it tells. It reminds us that even in systems designed for perfection, mistakes happen, and sometimes, those mistakes become treasures. If you ever come across a 1972 1-cent coin, do not rush to spend it. Pause. Look closely. Examine the letters, the date, the tiny details that might reveal something hidden. Because value does not always announce itself loudly, it often hides in silence. But at the same time, stay grounded. Not every coin is a jackpot. Knowledge is your greatest tool, far more powerful than hope alone. The difference between myth and reality is what separates disappointment from true discovery. So the legend of the 1972 Liberty 1-cent coin lives on, not as a guaranteed fortune, but as a symbol of possibility. A reminder that even the smallest object can hold a secret, and sometimes, just sometimes, that secret is worth far more than anyone ever imagined. And perhaps, somewhere right now, in a pocket, a jar, or an old forgotten box, one of these rare coins is waiting, silent, unnoticed, and ready to change the moment someone finally sees it for what it truly is. The story of a 1962 Liberty 1-cent coin does not begin with instant millions or overnight billionaire dreams. It begins with quiet metal, struck in an era when coins passed from hand to hand without anyone imagining they might one day be studied like hidden treasure. There is something almost cinematic about it. An ordinary penny, born in 1962, slipping into circulation, unnoticed, uncelebrated, yet carrying within it the faint possibility of rarity. Before diving into the dream of unimaginable wealth, it's important to ground the reality. A 1962 1-cent coin is not made of silver. It is primarily copper, and that alone separates it from the dramatic myth of silver fortune. But here's where the story becomes intriguing. Value in coins rarely comes from metal alone. It comes from rarity, condition, and the mysterious imperfections that turn ordinary into extraordinary. Picture this. Millions of these pennies were minted, yet only a tiny fraction survive today in pristine, untouched condition. These are the coins that collectors chase. Coins that look as if they were frozen in time, never worn down by pockets, never dulled by years. In that untouched brilliance, value begins to grow. Now imagine a specific variation, a coin struck slightly off-center, or with a doubled image where the design appears to echo itself. These are not mistakes in the ordinary sense. They are accidents of history. And in the world of collectors, such accidents can ignite fierce demand. A small error can transform a 1-cent coin into something worth far beyond its face value. The 1962 penny, especially from certain mint marks like D for Denver, carries subtle differences that trained eyes can detect instantly. To most people, these differences are invisible. But to a collector, they are everything. A sharper strike, a slightly different spacing, or even a faint doubling of letters can whisper rarity. But let's not fall into illusion. This coin will not make someone a billionaire overnight. That idea is more fantasy than reality. Even the rarest 1962 pennies, under extraordinary conditions, reach into hundreds or thousands of dollars, not millions. Yet that doesn't make the story less powerful. It makes it more real, more human. Because the true magic lies in discovery. Imagine finding such a coin hidden in an old jar, passed down unknowingly through generations. That moment, when an ordinary object suddenly reveals hidden worth, is where the real thrill lives. It's not just about money, it's about uncovering a secret that has been waiting quietly for decades. Collectors often describe a feeling that borders on obsession. They search through piles of coins, not for guaranteed riches, but for possibility. The 1962 penny becomes a symbol of that search, a reminder that value can hide in plain sight, waiting for the right eyes to notice. Condition plays a dramatic role in this story. A heavily worn coin might be worth only a few cents, but the same coin in mint state, untouched, gleaming, flawless, can command significantly higher prices. It's like comparing a faded photograph to a perfectly preserved masterpiece. There is also the influence of grading. Professional grading services evaluate coins with microscopic precision, assigning them a score that determines their place in the market. A tiny difference in grade can mean a huge difference in price. That's how delicate and intense this world becomes. And then there is the emotional pull. Owning a rare coin is not just about financial gain, it's about holding a piece of time. The year 1962 carries its own historical weight, its own silent stories. Every coin from that year has traveled through unknown hands, witnessed unknown moments. The myth of, "Don't sell it cheap, it will change your life overnight," comes from the excitement that surrounds rare finds. But the truth is more patient. Value grows through knowledge, careful preservation, and understanding what makes a coin truly rare. Still, there are moments when reality feels almost magical. A collector discovers a rare error coin and sells it for a price far beyond expectation. These moments fuel the legend, keeping the dream alive for others who continue the search. The 1962 penny is not a ticket to instant billions, but it is a doorway into a fascinating world. A world where tiny details matter, where history and craftsmanship collide, and where the smallest object can carry surprising worth. Some collectors spend years chasing a single variation. They study, compare, and analyze, driven by the belief that somewhere out there, the perfect coin exists. That pursuit itself becomes a kind of treasure. There is also a lesson hidden within this story. Not everything valuable shines immediately. Sometimes, worth is hidden beneath layers of familiarity. A coin you might ignore today could hold more significance than you realize. And yet, caution is important. Many exaggerated claims circulate about coins being worth millions when they are not. Understanding the real market prevents disappointment and helps focus on genuine opportunities. Even so, the excitement should never be dismissed. The idea that something so small could carry unexpected value is powerful. It reminds us to look closer, to question what we take for granted. In the end, the 1962 Liberty 1-cent coin stands as a quiet symbol, not of overnight billionaires, but of hidden potential. Its true power lies not in fantasy, but in the thrill of discovery and the depth of its story. So if you ever come across one, don't rush to spend it. Examine it. Appreciate it. Learn about it. Because while it may not instantly change your life, it might just open the door to a world far more intriguing than you ever expected.